In my story, part 4, I cover something that's probably the most dangerous of many of the videos that I'll be sharing with you. And it's certainly something that has affected my father's life, the path of my family, as well as my life. I could say that it's probably affected all of our lives, even within the country, what he discovered at the time. And it's interesting to see how what he discovered then played out over time, considering when this meeting took place in the early 1980s and what has subsequently happened to our country. And that will bring us back to where we are now in this pandemic, in lockdown. And there's many other things that I will cover in the other videos that play into this, but this was the key moment, certainly for my father. And basically what happened is there was a debriefing meeting held at a hotel where my father was present, and the discussion around the Exocet Missile project was wrapped up. And this debriefing was taped. And you know, back in the day they had those big boxes with a tape that ran. And after the meeting was finished and they started leaving, they'd actually forgotten the tape running still. And my father was sent back up to go and fetch the tape. And he wasn't given access to the room immediately, and he was asked to come back later. And he insisted, no, this was sensitive information that was on the tape, and he insisted on getting the tape at the time. He then got permission after the person that gave him access went into the room and asked permission for him to fetch something. He entered the room and there were 3 men seated there, and he went to collect the machine. I'm not sure exactly where the tape machine was standing at the time. I just remember this machine. I'd seen it myself as a young boy. It was like a wooden box that you could close up the outside, and it had a microphone section that was open. So you could put it down somewhere and you wouldn't really see that there's any tapes running or anything like that. He collected the tape machine, and as he left the room, one of the men turned to him and asked him what that was that he had fetched, and he said that it was a tape machine. And he asked him, was it still running? And he said yes. And then the man jumped up out of his chair and wanted to grab the machine from my father while he was coming towards him. And my father explained at the time, he was still fairly young, he said he just made a beeline for it. He ran movie style, literally, for the stairs, and ran down the stairs and out the front of the building to where his car was parked in a side road. And he managed to escape this person at the time. Now, this tape that was playing became a key role in what happened in the rest of his life. He subsequently found out the one person he was familiar with in the room, and the man that actually pursued him was Pik Botha. The other 2 people in the room was Dennis Warrell and Chris Jennis. And my dad wasn't that politically active at the time. He had an interest in politics, but obviously this, what he actually listened to on this last bit of the tape, where their meeting had started and he could actually hear everything that they were saying. It wasn't a long snippet, but it was enough for him to realize that things are not what they seem. Because in this meeting, Pik Botha was discussing with people in what's supposed to be the opposition party the handing over of the government to what they called the Bantus at the time. And he actually couldn't believe what he was hearing. That these people were planning what had played down in 1994, and that they were talking about the people that were giving them instructions from time to time, and basically how they were to achieve this objective. Briefly, it became clear to him that there is an agenda behind what our government was doing, or what was being portrayed to the people in the media, certainly, as well as even in Parliament. From what he learned in that meeting, he realized, firstly, that there was extreme Masonic influence within the South African government. He realized that international powers was influencing decisions in South Africa, not because of who was elected by the people, but because of the people that were elected, that they were beholden to these international powers. And he had a massive disillusionment. At the time, I believe that he supported the National Party and what they were doing, and he became terribly disillusioned with them because Pik Botha was a senior member within the National Party at the time. And I believe that at that time he started formulating ideas and concepts in his mind with information from various other people that I will discuss in time, to actually counteract what they were doing and prepare for a time where these world powers will have to be dominated by the people on the ground.